All right, hey, my name is Mark, and I am going to demo for you the bits and pieces of SlackGPT, which is my hack for the Denver AI Tinkers multimodal hackathon. So, a little bit of background. I am a slackliner and a highliner, and it is a international community, but it's a pretty niche sport. Highlining is basically tightrope walking. Here you can see someone doing it between a building and the Eiffel Tower in France. It's pretty impressive. And where a lot of this information in the world is actually centralized is unfortunately this Facebook group called SlackChat. And you can see that in this Facebook group, there's all sorts of discussion, right? There's people asking if there's any highliners or communities in certain areas, tips for managing strain on the lower back during highlining, why why are certain decisions made for certain styles of highlining, and there's a lot of really, really good information on here, but Facebook makes it really difficult to search that. Additionally, there's the International Slackline Association, which has a whole ton of resources, news, incident reports, and things like that with more information. There's Slack Science, which talks about failures, breaking strengths, how gear is supposed to be used and the right way to do things. There's Highline Freestyle, which will show you, a bunch of tricks that you can see here, on a highline. And each of these pages describes a little bit how to do the trick and kind of what it is. For, something like a sofa roll, there's actually tips. And additionally, there's another Slackline blog out there, and there's a lot of these information resources. So my goal here is to make a Slackline chatbot that can answer all of your questions. So the first thing that I did, and what I spent most of this hackathon doing, was basically scraping this data from Facebook and actually going through and pulling each and every one of these posts, parsing that, cleaning the data, downloading the attachment images so that I can feed them into a multimodal LLM, so that if someone wants to know, how is a highline supposed to be attached to a tree, or how do you tie a highline to 4 bolts in rock, we can provide images which can help with that. So there's a lot of parsing. We can see that we get these kind of like raw dictionaries. We get links to the original posts that we can then feed into a vector database and allow us to feed these into a fine-tuned model. And then we also went and scraped all of the responses to these questions, which are arguably more important than the posts themselves. Although some of the posts are not just questions, they are posts with information and reports and things like that. And so I did actually get all the way through this, and I pulled nearly 50,000 posts and comments from around 2019 until today. But there's actually history going back all the way until 2008. So at some point, I would love to continue pulling more. I then had a plan to fine-tune a instruction model to create chatting. And you can see that I was able to actually do that. I pulled down a model here, and while I was not able to feed in the data from my training data generation job, in this notebook, I actually do go through and I fine-tune an LLM, and we can see that, Connie will throw up tonight while climbing. That's not really supposed to happen. This is fine-tuning the model. And over here, we can see that I was actually going to use the base model to help me classify and prepare the training data for our fine-tuning by evaluating whether or not the post is a question, whether it was informative, and also asked it to provide chains of thought reasoning, and it was able to do that successfully. Here we can see that post. This is a incident report where they are describing one incident where a highline failed. as well as have links to the full report and the blog post. And the output of this query is no, it's not a question. There is reasoning, it's a report, it's not a question, and the post is summarizing an incident. Now, this output will help me determine how to prepare the data for actually fine-tuning when I go to do that. Additionally, I started working on the implementation to actually launch this training on Vertex AI on a multi-GPU machine, but unfortunately never quite got there. But the bits and pieces are all there. So, at some point, maybe it'll all work. And that is the demo.